Guys, welcome back to my second YouTube video. This one's going to be called Personal Transformation, and I'm just going to be sharing with you a snippet of how I've arrived to where I am now and how I view the world, because I haven't always viewed the world the way I do. So growing up, I had a very, very addictive personality, and I would do things to the extreme. Now, this video is not going to be about addictions. We can talk about that in another video, but I just always took it to the next level. You name it: drink, drugs, food, gym, work, sex, whatever. I've tried them all. It doesn't work because you've always looking for something outside of you. And the ironic thing about this human journey is that everything is within, which again we will discuss in later videos. But this video is about my personal transformation of how I've come to become self-aware and understand the kind of genesis of my identity, how I was put together. And that only came about from a real pivotal watershed moment that shattered what I thought was reality, because we go around in reality wearing these masks, don't we, of who we think we should be. I'm not saying everyone does. The people that are their true, authentic selves, in my opinion, I have nothing but respect and admiration for them, because it's real courage to be vulnerable and to be yourself. But when we're around certain types of people, certain groups, we will put on a mask in order to mask our true selves. And this is what I did with the drink and the drugs. Put the mask on. They helped me as well become somebody that, wasn't necessarily comfortable with in my sober light of day, and just be there. So all throughout my sessions of drinking and whatever, growing up, there was a young man, Dean, and I met this young man at school, in secondary school, and we just clicked, and we went all through secondary school together, then through our teens, drinking, doing what you do, and then into our adulthood as well, into our late 20s, all through our 20s and late 20s. And all throughout this, he came out drinking. This is what you do, isn't it? We go through phases, or this is what society would say, you go out drinking, it's normal. Again, that's for another video. All throughout this, I was the one that always took things to the extreme. I just never knew when enough was enough, and this was my addictive personality that was rooted in trauma. So as a coping mechanism, and I'm not knocking the past version of myself, because he did what he had to do to survive, and it worked, and it got him a lot of approval as well, as crazy as that sounds, from society. But the ones that were closest to me, Dean in particular, never tried to fix me. Dean showed me what love was and true friendship, that even when I was in a mess and I wake up the next day with that anxiety, not knowing who I'd offended or what I'd said, what I'd done, I'd lost, he was the one always there to just pick me up and go out with me again. Not judge me, not try to fix me, never pull me aside saying, "Oh Dave, you're out of control, have you thought about your life?" He just accepted me as I was. He showed me what true love was, and that's friendship, isn't it? That is true love. Now, this young man, he had cystic fibrosis, and we didn't speak too much about this because things we're scared of, we tend not to approach, do we? We tend to look the other way and not talk about it, because if we sweep it under the rug, it's easier. But anyway, one day Dean called me. This, we were in our 30s, and he went for a lung transplant, which was successful. And then after that, within 6 weeks, he was out of hospital, and he was coming up to the gym with me. He was doing all these amazing, wonderful things, and I was just so in awe of this man. It was such positivity and strength that he embodied, and that he was in my life. And he never told me to get my act together or nothing. He just accepted me for who I was. So do you know what? That was cool, and I've always got so much love for him. And a few years later, the following year, I had the pleasure of being the best man at his wedding. Absolute joy, perfect day, and that was it, all honky-dory. Later that year, in the winter, November, Dean contracted bronchitis and pneumonia, and his immune system simply couldn't cope because he didn't have an immune system because of the lung transplant. Had he, his body would have rejected the lungs, so he was on immunity blockers, so his body would accept the lungs. And I got a call from his wife on the Friday evening, and I went in the Saturday the next day, because that call, she said, Dean's not going to make it through the weekend. Now, we never spoke about death. Dean was the ultimate positive person. And I just thought the doctors had made some sort of mistake. People were being dramatic. That's how it was. So I went in the next day. Well, sorry, Saturday morning came. I went up the gym, and I didn't think too much of it. The gym had helped me for a lot. I turned that into an addiction over the years, but I managed to balance that out now. Went up the gym, finished my gym session. I thought, do you know what? I better go and see Dean, just to show my face, just in case. I'm sure everything's fine. Anyway, I went in that room at 1:15, and his whole family were there. His wife were there. He was hooked up to the ventilator, and I wasn't ready for that. My legs began to shake, began to tremble. Started to feel very tearful, but again, another topic for another video. Society, particularly growing up as a man, conditions all this. Why I believe that tears are weakness. Any sort of emotion is weakness, and that's the biggest load of detrimental nonsense ever. But yeah, we'll talk about that in another video. And so I stifled my tears and went in and sat next to his breathing body. That's all there was. His wife said, "It's time to go now." And with that, Dean took his last breath. And at 16 minutes past 2, I was literally there for the last hour of his life, Dean left his body. I wasn't ready for that. So we went out of the room. We're actually joking. We were joking about his diet, his poor diet, and what he used to eat, and how he used to make words out of alpha bites, if you know what they are. And I felt that I owed it to him to just go in and say, to express my gratitude, to express my thanks for all he had done for me and the lessons he had shown me of what a friend was, and you know what true love was. So I went in there, and it was just me and him, and I was looking at this shell of this man in front of me, just his corpse that was already cold and clammy. And I just wanted to express my gratitude and say thank you. And in that moment, I had the most bizarre, mystical, I don't know, call it what you want, experience come over me. And I started to feel real love, real unconditional love for the first time in my life. And it's very strange. Next to my best friend's body, I was confused as to why I was feeling these feelings, and dare I say, I was feeling bliss, joy, and just pure love. And there was light in the room, and this love was coming from within me, but it was also surrounding me as well, like engulfing me, like holding me. And I just burst into tears. I was holding him, I was kissing him, I just felt nothing but total love for this person. Now, had he been alive, he would have batted me off saying, "What are you doing? Get off me." But this is how I felt in that moment. And that experience will stay with me forever, because I touched something in my being that's within all of us. We might have each had a profound moment like this once and dismissed it. The birth of children can spark feelings like this. When I had the birth of my daughter, a very similar experience. But this experience next to Dean's body was really the pivotal moment of my transformation. And this is why now I use death as my greatest teacher. So I spoke about masks earlier. I left the room that day that hospital room next to Dean, the mask of old Dave, inauthenticity, had been left in that room. It essentially died. And I came out a new person because I had a little glimpse beyond the veil as to who and what we are as humans and what is possible if we open our hearts, and that's all within us. That was the spark of my awakening, and I went home that night, I cried in my wife's arms, and I never looked back, because I wanted to know what that feeling was. And that wasn't from a place of addiction again, like I wanted to chase that high, which is a big pitfall in this game that you can do, because it is all about embracing everything as one. The pain, the shame, the guilt, the loss, the fame, the joy, the bliss, the ecstasy, it's all one package. It's all the beauty of this human experience. So that is what this channel is about, sharing authentic experiences. And hopefully you can relate. If you've had any profound transformational moments, please let me know. But we'll build on this, and I just wanted to give some context as to who and why am I here. So lots of love to you, and thank you so much.